Hi guys, this is Dave Waring from BrainDrive.ai, and today I wanted to walk you through the AI system that I use to run my business. This is a little different than BrainDrive, which is a personal AI system and is designed to help you define and reach your goals across your personal life. It can also be used for business, but this is more of the Ferrari version of that and what I use in my day-to-day. And I call it the executive brain because while I'm a founder, I think any executive or any leader can benefit from this same system. And the good news is it's really not a technical thing. In fact, I found that working with AI to run your business or manage a team, the skills that you need are much more in line with a good manager and what those skills are than anything technical. And so this system is all about helping you align to define what success looks like, to create a plan for executing on that success or on those goals, to do that execution, and then to integrate that feedback and learning back into the system. So this AI system compounds for you, and your executive brain gets more and more powerful the more that you use it. And this is designed to live under your ownership and control, so that power compounds for you instead of within a big tech company. So we already talked about this. The thing you need to be successful are the alignment, the planning, the execution, and a way to incorporate the learnings. That's what this is all about. And here's the 6 steps you need to hire, and then I'll take you through them. Hire your AI, set up the workspace, set up the structure, provide the context, provide the access, and keep it up to date. So step 1, hire your AI. The AI that you need, or the system that you need to execute this workflow, to set up this executive brain, needs both the intelligence, which is the AI model, which along with your context makes up the brain of the system. And then it needs the harness, which gives your system hands. So that's the agentic capabilities that allow the AI to act on your behalf. So the normal ChatGPTs and Claudes of the world, while they're great, they don't have the full agentic capabilities that you're going to need to execute this system. If you want to use this workflow, you're going to need to use the agentic versions of those tools, Claude Code, Codex, or if you want open source, Open Code is another option. Any of the agentic harnesses will do here. So that's that piece. And don't let the word code in the name of these systems make you think that they're only for coding, because you really don't have to be a coder to use these systems. It's just like chatting with a person, and the setup's really easy. So I recommend Claude Code for this if you're not going to be coding, because it has just a little bit better of a personality. It makes it feel like you're dealing with a person. And Codex if you're going to be doing coding, because it's a little better at the coding, especially for the price. You'll won't run out of tokens as quickly. And the $20 a month plans should work fine for this. So once you've chosen your AI system, step 1, hired your AI, the next thing you need to do is set up the workspace. This is where you're going to be working together with your AI to partner with it on this executive brain. I use GitHub for this because the AIs are very familiar with GitHub, because most people use GitHub for coding. But I'm really just using it as a file system. But the thing I like about GitHub is it automatically syncs to my MacBook here. So I always have 2 copies of my brain. I have one locally that's running under my complete ownership and control, and then one in the cloud, which is GitHub, which no one else has access to but me. But you don't have to use GitHub. The same setup I use here, and I'm going to show you here, is going to work in any file system, whether that be Google Drive or more sophisticated options like Obsidian. So the next thing, once you've got your workspace set up, is you need to set up the structure of your executive brain. So mine is organized into 4 layers. The company layer, this is aligning with the AI around mission, vision, values, brand guidelines, anything big picture about the company in terms of how you make decisions. Then there's the project level. This is the work that we're actually executing on together, which holds its spec, plan, its open questions, and any decision log. So you have that history of how decisions were made that you're building together, just like you would be if you're working with a high quality executive assistant, for example. Then we have the operations folder. So one area for each operational area of the business, marketing, finance, support, etc. And then there's the process layer, which is where all the standard operating procedures are in terms of how we work together. So here's a little diagram of what those levels look like and how they're structured. And like I said, at the beginning of this step, it's just a basic file system with markdown files in it, or plain text files works here. So there's nothing technical or super sophisticated here. Then you need to provide the context. So this is think about this like an employee, like a high quality executive assistant. You need to, what is the information that you want to share with that person so that they can do their job? And then you need to share that actual information. And the great thing here is the AI can actually interview, and I've got prompts that I'll show you at the end of this where you can just ask the AI to interview you and it'll write all these documents for you. And these are great to have for working with your team as well, just beyond, the AI. So providing all that context so that you've onboarded your AI effectively. And then you need to provide the access. So, just like a good employee would not be able to do good work for you if they didn't have access to the systems where you're communicating, getting work done, the same is true for your executive brain for this AI system. So I would start with the places where you communicate, because keeping the AI up to date and in the loop on the work that's happening is going to be, really the foundation that everything else is built upon. We communicate via Zoom. Zoom has an MCP server that allows you to pull in transcripts very easily for that, and your AI can do that for you as well. You just tell your Claude Code or your Codex or your Open Code to set up that connection for you, and it will pull in those transcripts and process them for you and keep your brain up to date. And we also communicate in a discourse forum, and we have our AI hooked up to the forum as well, so we can actually participate in those conversations just like any member of the team would. This is our AI here that's doing that communication. So once it's hooked up and in the loop on the communications, then you can give it access to the systems where it can actually start to execute on your behalf. And this really takes it from the brain to, really something that you can delegate tasks to, which is pretty awesome. And there's two ways to do that. There's direct connections that some software systems have. You might hear this referred to as an API or an MCP server. Again, just ask your AI if you want to hook it up to your CRM. Tell it the name of the CRM, ask it to see what's the best way to make a connection to that. If the software doesn't have an API or an MCP, these agentic tools like Claude Code and Codex and Open Code, they have browser use, so they will actually log into the system from the browser and connect that way, just like if they were using it as a person. And if you're not comfortable with this step, or you want to make sure you're comfortable with this step, just ask the AI before you connect to anything. What's the process here? What permissions is this going to give you? Where are the potential security risk? And just make sure you really understand what's happening here. But if you're using one of the main, Claude Code, Codex in particular, they don't want these things going rogue on your systems. That's not good PR for them. And they're pretty good about making sure that that does not happen. But obviously do your own research and, all of that. So then once you've got everything connected up and it's doing the work and it's got all the context that it needs to do that work, then you need to keep it up to date, and you need to incorporate the learnings that you're having as you go along. And you do this in real time. You're not stopping and saying, let me teach my executive brain, my AI system, what I want it to know here. As you're going about things, it makes a mistake, you correct it. You want to make sure that those updated operating procedures and processes are incorporated into the system. So you want to do that when you're talking with your AI, when it's included in processing transcripts in meetings that you're having with your team, all of that, and making sure that that's getting captured. And everything is being kept up to date here, your to-do lists, all of that. So, like I said at the beginning, this is the race car version of this. It does take some setup, but I've got a PDF here that you can get right here at my blog over at davewaring.com. It's got all of the prompts and everything included in this PDF. You can actually just this PDF is set up so you can just give it to your AI and it will set up this whole process for you. That's available right there. But like I said, this is some work, and it is sort of multiple days to set this up. You don't have to do it all at once, but to get all the context populated, etc. Or if you want just kind of the Toyota Camry version of this, that's what we're building over at braindrive.ai, and that's our personal AI assistant that you own and control and runs on your own computer. So you can give that a try at braindrive.ai, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about either of these. I love talking about this stuff, so leave me a comment, on my blog here or wherever you're seeing this video, and I'm happy to answer any questions and also receive feedback on how we can improve. All of this stuff is so new and exciting, so definitely looking for other enthusiasts that have ideas on best practices, etc. Thanks for watching.